Check Podcasts.
Today we have a very exciting guest, one of my very best friends in the real estate industry. She is an expert at what she does and has been through a lot of different scenarios. The market's hot right now, but going through a weird phase, so I'm super interested to see what Ingrid thinks. Ingrid, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks so much for inviting me in today, Amy. And I've been a fan of yours from day one, and just so excited all these years that we've been able to evolve both of our careers and support each other. And it's just fabulous to be part of the Check family as well. So thank you again.
Oh, you're so welcome. For those who don't know, Ingrid and I started filming together. We had never met before 9 seasons ago on Trend, which airs on Check. And just clicked right away. And I think we could talk about anything for hours on end, let alone our little 7-minute segments on Trend.
Well, and that was such a serendipitous opportunity, and that leap of faith and desire to kind of push yourself in those boxes of sometimes uncomfortableness or just diving into something that scares you. And I have to say that's probably what has helped me most in terms of navigating the real estate industry. It's always been a passion of mine. I think even before I became a licensed agent, I always had that underlying interest. When my husband and I first bought our first home in 1989 on Burnside Road, it was a struggle to make it happen, but it was worth the effort, and we were so excited. And when we wanted to take that next leap and move up, I ended up selling and listing my home privately. So I think at that point I was kind of destined to be a licensed agent and be involved in the industry.
Well, it's interesting that you mention that, because I kind of feel like, people who bought into real estate years ago, it was so much easier back then. Now it's so many hoops you have to jump through and the prices are crazy. But I think it's always kind of a struggle to initially get in, whether it's your first home now or back then. Are you seeing a real difference, or would you just say that it's just kind of changed relatively? Or
I feel it's just changed relatively. Sometimes I do draw back to some of those old stories. Well, when I was young and when I was first diving in, it wasn't easy. We had 14.2% interest rates, and we had to cut back on the luxuries of entertaining and meals out were, just a real treat, maybe once a month. So pretty humble beginnings. That's always been my background that I've drawn on. I think that's what also drives me to be able to connect with a lot of variety of clients and buyers, and being humbled to know what it's like to be at that starting point. And it's not easy taking that jump into real estate. It's not for the faint at heart, but certainly it will always have long-term benefits and be something that I've never ever regretted, and it definitely has been a positive from my perspective.
And I think that's important too, saying that it's something that you have never regretted, because a lot of people are thinking, I shouldn't get into the industry right now or get into a home right now because we're at the peak of the market. And I feel like I've heard my friends say that over the years, over and over again, and we always think, this is the peak of the market, we'll never get our money back on this, and then it goes up again. So would you agree that it's just you just have to get in and figure out how to do it?
I do. I mean, if you look back on the cycles of the Victoria sales and values, we really have never seen a significant decline. And I think that just supports the numerous fundamentals that Victoria offers for a good investment location, primarily being, our amazing climate, lifestyle, opportunity, and the shifting demographic. I think Victoria will always be appealing now to a variety of buyers. And that seems to be supportive, even in these small little waves of activity. Right now, we seem to be in a bit of a pause where I think there's several buyers that are taking a bit of a step back, saying, well, let's just see how the market plays out. And several sellers that are looking to maybe now make this move, knowing that this might be the best opportunity. So we're in a transition for sure, but that's part of the commitment to real estate. You have to be able to weather those different environments and be able to provide your clients with that immediate information, and also be a little bit of a mediation counselor and trying to calm the stress that real estate can generate.
It's so true. And I mean, nobody has a crystal ball. You can't forecast the weird things that the world has thrown at you in the last couple of years, all the dips and turns. And like all of my friends that are realtors, yourself included, I don't know how you're still standing. There's so many different things that you've had to do over the last couple of years to try and buy or sell houses for your clients.
And, you know, that's, I think, part of the testament that it is an industry that you have to be completely committed to, and knowing how to shift and evolve as the ever-changing environment that real estate offers. And I think for me, because I'm passionate about it, I absolutely love people, and you have to have that dedication, in my opinion, to have the success in this very challenging career. I think for myself personally, I also had a really substantial background to be able to support, you know, where I am now. I don't know if I would have wanted to have my license back in my early 20s when I was just getting my career going. I think the layers that I've added, getting my start as a legal assistant, was probably one of the best working environments and learning opportunities from all aspects of law. I did family law, a little bit of criminal. But when I was doing real estate conveyancing, I dreamt of being able to be a realtor, and that didn't seem attainable at the time. And then I was fortunate.
And yet I think that's a leg up over a lot of other realtors, because you have that foundation where because so much of what you do is dealing with contracts and legal jargon and negotiations and mediations.
And that definitely, I am able to draw on that knowledge and have that ability to be able to interpret that as much as I can for my clients. And the next stage for me was being aligned and having the opportunity to work with Mohan Jal of Jal Properties. That was back in 1994. Our daughter Tasha was only 2 years old, and I landed the job of my dreams. Mohan being a local lawyer and property owner developer, initially was handling all of his legal aspects from the company, and then as they started to develop the properties primarily around Cudover Bay Golf Course, that at the time were just vacant land parcels, that's really where the synergy between he and I, and he allowed me to go into that area of sales and marketing. And I think, you know, we both had the connection to be able to support each other. It was a bit of not a new development for them, but definitely one that was the largest scope that they've ever been involved in. And that really was where I started to hone my final package of skills for everything related to real estate.
Well, and I think that's such a great team, because they're such a well-respected development company and family in Victoria, and you are as well. You've been born and bred, and you are Miss Victoria.
And definitely adds to the inherent knowledge of the area.
Yes.
And even just drilling it down to where I got my start with Mohenjal at Cadova Bay Golf Course. I went to Claremont High School. We used to have fun down at Cadova Bay Beach, and well before it was a thriving golf course. So have always had that connection to this neighborhood. And fast forward, almost 25 years working alongside and with the Jal family, creating all of the beautiful residences at Maddox Green, Maddox Wood, and now most recently the last phase at Sayward Hill, which is the backdrop that you see here. That was my last opportunity to get into a project where I've been part of and can now call home as well.
And they really do such a great job of creating communities for their clients, the people that are purchasing their homes, the condos, that sort of thing. You are so good at helping your clients fit into the right community and homes. How do you start that process? Is it sort of a work finding out about who they are and what they need, or do they pretty much know from the beginning and then you just have to you have to go and source that out for them?
Yeah, sometimes it's a little bit of both. It's interesting because I always try to listen as much as I can. I think that's the most important part of any aspect to business, is being a good listener.
And any relationship often, really, because whether it's business or personal,
definitely,
that listening skill is huge.
Mm-hmm. And as you can tell, I love to talk. So sometimes I have to, just slow down a bit and put my listening ears on. But
you're a great
thank you. They sometimes have a set, and they'll send me a nice long list, which is great. But then as we start to get to know each other and building that rapport, I really am able to draw out what is important to them. And it's interesting because sometimes it's a complete full circle as to where they think they started and ultimately where we end up. And I think that's really important to be able to have that opportunity to, be open and honest with clients as well, where, I go into a home sometimes and I get that feeling where it's absolutely the right home. I just experienced that, recently where working with this amazing, young couple, and we just found this exceptional property. And I just knew that we needed to make everything happen, or else I probably wouldn't be able to find them a comparative match in the future. And, it was a little swirly tummy here and there and trying to get everything set up properly. But in the end, it all came together and it was really meant to be. And I think that sometimes inherent instinctual feel, I actually draw on that quite often.
And it's funny that you mentioned the sort of that feeling in your stomach when you're not sure if it's going to work out and all of that. I know in real estate right now, maybe it's changing a little bit, but you haven't really had to experience that before, where there's, multiple offers, over asking, everybody's fighting over everything. And that's where things have kind of been the last year. How did you navigate all of that?
Yeah, and it definitely has been tricky. I won't lie, and I won't sugarcoat it. Again, every scenario is so different. And I think I'm able to have that reaction time in a way that I can jump into a scenario and have the ability to respond quickly, whether that's my background, playing volleyball and having to react quickly on the court, or working alongside, Mohenjal and dealing with all of the trades in a 58 unit building where, everybody's scrambling to get things on track and finished. So I'm kind of used to that environment and kind of thrive on it in some ways, but it can be very intense. And but certainly the rewards of having a successful outcome, which we did with this most recent couple, is just such an incredible feeling when you're having that impact on people's lives and being part of something that is really important to them and important to their journey, and knowing that, you've just done the best that you could. And that's, I think, maybe part of my background in German philosophy. I grew up with two very hardworking German parents and with a very high work ethic as well. And that's just part of, I think, my DNA and who I am.
But do you feel like there's a point of burnout? I mean, you've been going without a lot of holidays and such for the last couple of years.
Yes, but I'm also very fortunate. I'm surrounded locally by all of my close family and our daughter. We were able to get them into a home just around the block from us. So we spend a lot of time together and providing that support network, which is really what you need to also have in a demanding career. And of course, I've got such an amazing supportive husband. Bowden does all of my advertising, a lot of my social media, and is just my sounding board and right-hand man. And, you have to have a partner who is kind of vested and supported, and
Right.
maybe a little bit of a real estate addict as well. We often
can understand.
But after 34 years, we've built all of our opportunities together, and that definitely is a big part of my success is our combined commitment, for sure.
So one thing that some of my friends have been talking a lot about lately are vacation homes and all of that. Are you finding that it's just so hard to find a place like on a lake now, or any sort of rental scenarios? I find that, I don't know if it was maybe during COVID or that sort of thing, but there's just nothing available anymore for, like, what would you recommend to your clients who are looking for something for a second home or like a vacation home?
Well, interesting that you say that, because when you talked about holidays and time away, and I immediately thought of, we have a cabin on an island just off the coast of Nanaimo. It's a small island called Ruxton. There's no ferry, no power, no water, no services. But for the past 20 years, we've been building a lovely retreat spot there and using the latest solar technology and now satellite Wi-Fi and rain collection. So we have a fully functioning property. And back 20 years ago, it was, something that not anyone was really talking about in terms of finding that spot to be able to retreat to. And that, yes, definitely. I'm really noticing that people are trying to find that little piece of local paradise that they can just escape to without having to make a big commitment to travel too far. And the benefits and the beauty that we have in our Southern Gulf Islands is really unmatched. And I think, the last few years now, and especially, through the COVID time, people are really starting to pick up on the beauty and the opportunities, and it is more difficult, and we've definitely seen a climb in that segment of the market for price and value as well.
Absolutely. Well, it's funny because I grew up on Sprout Lake, and I remember speaking with one of my neighbors back then, because they had lived there for a very long time, and they had said, oh, if we couldn't afford to buy in town in Port Alberni back when we were looking for a home, so we had to buy something on the lake. And now it's complete opposite. I mean, you can't get a home on a lake close by for, I don't know, under $1.5 million. It's crazy.
And these little pockets of spots on the island that, again, used to be, somewhat remote or not as desirable for people thinking to get away. And it's come completely full circle where they're looking for that absolute true West Coast experience. And now with technologies, whether that be the Wi-Fi capabilities, working from our smartphones, having the ability to live off grid, it's just come such a long way, even in just the last 5 years, the growth of that opportunity. And often when I'm up spending time, I usually, keep my phone close by, and I don't know whether it's the magic of this island, but I usually end up putting some sort of deal together. But I don't mind having to have that overlapping of work and life. Leisure, that's right. For me, I don't know. I'm not one of those people that can just switch it on and off in that respect. I think because it is just such a part of me, I don't mind, floating and within reason, but just that that excitement too of being involved in an opportunity for someone. And sometimes, you don't have the ability to say, oh, well, I'll just deal with that on a Monday morning. Unfortunately, that's just not how our real estate market works.
You do such a great job, and you're such an expert in the industry. You're with Newport International and Newport and Christie's International. How does that help you out as a realtor?
Yeah, the support network and the background and the reputation of Newport Realty, locally owned and operated for decades now. And that really has made the alignment of my core values and what Newport is all about, and their commitment to not only their sales associates, but their staff, their clients, and also the community. I did a lot of work years for United Way back when I was still working with the Jal family. And that's really now aligned with the same values that Newport has, with wanting to support the communities that we're all about and that we're part of, and helping to build and find solutions for those areas that are challenging right now too. So I'm really excited because we're actually working on a new campaign and a new project with United Way. And I can't wait to share that, but it's a little bit of a secret right now, just as we build that opportunity together. But you'll definitely hear more from both Newport and United Way on how we're going to make an even bigger impact in our community here in Victoria.
Well, I think that I'll have to have you back on the podcast anyways, because we're out of time, but we could talk for hours and there's so many subjects that we didn't even touch on. So we'll make sure we cover that next time you're on.
Oh, I really look forward to that. And how fun was this, Amy? Thanks so much. And you're right. We could just keep talking forever.